Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling, and shall we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today? Well, I'm recording at a bit of a weird time because, well, usually I'll be playing D&D in about 3 minutes or something, but one of my friends has been a little bit delayed, so I said, okay, let's aim for 7:15 instead. And then I was like, wait, why did I say 7:15? Because now I'm just like, well, what am I going to do, like, timing-wise? There's an awkward 20 minutes to fill out, and you know what's exactly 20 minutes? One Animal Crossing episode. So we'll see if I can finish this Animal Crossing in a reasonable time. But hello everyone, right now in Fawnhallow at 6:57 p.m. on Monday, August 24th, 2026. How am I feeling about this D&D session? I think it'll be fine. Like again, this group's campaign is like in a very sort of chill moment at the moment. They're basically in a side story of a main quest, which is a lot, like, is a big weight, I suppose, lifted from DMing like really heavy, intense, like earth-shattering revelations and stuff like that, because it means that things I do probably don't really have much of an effect on the outside. You know, I don't need to think about like, oh, am I going to contradict myself, etc., etc. Do I need to make sure that these moments hit as much? It's sort of just like a, hey, you know, it's a bit more freeform, it's a bit more like jazz, shall we say. This is Canberra, isn't it? So yeah, they are coming up towards the end of a side story, I would say. Like, I think they'll probably finish it in 2, like this session, next session, maybe 1 more session after that, but probably it's in 2 more sessions. No, actually, I think it'll be 3, because I think it'll be, this session will be the lead up to the final act or final part, maybe. And then there'll be the final act, the final boss, and then there'll probably be like the conclusion of what happens. And then there'll be, so maybe like an epilogue as well, but the epilogue will be outside of a side story, maybe is probably how I'd describe it. Then I need to like really think more, because I've been contemplating, I've said this about like maybe shuffling around some other groups as well for D&D, just because it's like, well, now we know what people like a bit more. It's a lot easier if like, it makes more sense if the people who like the similar things would be in the same group. But of course, it's like everyone's on a sliding scale of the things they like, so it's not as easy to immediately divide people up into 2. I think it probably will happen in some category. Like, I know one person I feel like should definitely probably switch groups. The other person I feel like is a moderate one, and the third one I'm like, I'm actually not so sure anymore if she should switch groups. But I don't necessarily know if that is or how it should go. Because it's like, I kind of want to balance, also kind of don't want to balance, I don't know. It's not like a mess or anything, it's just, it's a lot to think about. You know, I've spoken to all my players, you know, we've got their opinions, and I was like, alright, this seems all pretty reasonable, and now it's going to be on me to make a decision. But I haven't had like a lot of time to really sort of sit down and think about, map out exactly how that would work, so, but that's okay. Like, when it happens, it'll be a bit of a pause, I think, as that sort of comes into effect. And if anything, I was thinking that like probably now is like once the other groups finished off their like act, essentially, they're pretty close to the end, is what I would say. And then this group has finished off their intermission. I'll probably give them like a few like filler sort of sessions at the end, depending on if things don't sync up properly. Then it'll probably be on a little bit of a break, and then I think this is, you know, I don't mind if my players hear this, because I think this is fair, because it might not come to pass. What will probably happen is in universe there'll be a pretty decent time skip, like maybe like quite a few months or something, to allow things to sort of like propagate a little bit. And then we'll pick it up. I don't know if I want to pick it up necessarily. Oh, it's Pecan. It's the ex-Fawnhallow resident. And then it'll pick up with maybe some sort of joint session, some sort of very fun, very loose joint session. I don't know. Maybe not. I'm a bit undecided. Like, the joint sessions are a lot of effort as well, and I'm like, I wonder, you know, if I'm doing it the right way, that sort of thing, because I feel like maybe we should be less structured, maybe we should be more structured. Because we've done one sort of like combat themed one, we've done one which is a bit more of a puzzly one, so I'm like, maybe this one should just be literally just vibes, just roleplay. But is everyone going to vibe with that? I don't know, but it's not like everyone vibed with the other ones, so it's like, I don't know. But these are my friends, so obviously it's going to work out. But yeah, what else was I going to talk about? Oh, well, I guess talking about tabletop, I can talk about over the weekend. Visited some friends, and we went to a Gamescom. this is one that we've been to for the past 3 or 4 years. I can't. No, 3 years. I think it's past 4 years, but we skipped one of the years because we're on holiday or something. I can't quite recall. And it's really fun. It's a board game con. It's a games con, but it's sort of like a games con plus a vendor con at the same time. So it's not all about board games. There's a lot of like vendors who come there. There's a lot of local like craft vendors who come there, have stores and sell things. And I absolutely love just buying like these little like trinket sort of things which I also wouldn't usually buy. And I did buy a lot of stuff, like as always. I love especially going there to buy little like accessories and stuff. Like necklaces, earrings. This time I actually bought a couple of rings, which I don't normally do because I was thinking about the fact that I basically never wear rings as accessories. And we played a couple of games, we tried a couple of games, that sort of thing. We try a load of different things, and then the big thing we always do is we sign up for one of their like live table events where someone basically DMs a game or gaming system, and we play that for like a few hours, 3 hours or something. So the first time we did, I can't remember what it's called, but it was like this sort of dark cosmic space horror hardcore sort of thing. And then the time after, we did like a sort of like Wild West sort of Desperado style system. And then this time we did probably the strangest system I've ever done. Probably the one I think I gelled least with, looking back in retrospect, but we had a really good DM. I was a GM, sorry. She was really good. But it was called Paranoia as a game system. And it was, I do not know of a good way to describe it, except for it basically was an entire fever dream. And I would say, for my high level thoughts, if you are a player who just loves wacky hijinks, what's it called, like beer and pizza, sort of do whatever. If you're very much an instigator sort of player in D&D, I think you would love this system. Like this is like an instigator's dream system. I think it's basically just go off the walls. Like there's a million shiny red buttons. Make your own red button. Press the red button. Everything explodes. Everything's crazy. There are kind of stakes, but who cares? The stakes are cool. Sort of system. I would say I'm very much not an instigator sort of player. If you want to know, at least in the D&D archetypes, what sort of player I am, I'm almost certainly 100%, not 100%, I'm almost certainly primarily storyteller. Secondly, I think I've got, it's like investigator and actor pretty close, and then the rest of them is, I don't know, maybe a little bit of optimizer in that, I don't know. But that's probably what I am. So it was incredibly weird, is what I'd say. Apparently it has inspirations from like Red Dwarf or some, I can't remember, there were some like media references, and I was like, I don't know what these media references are, I've never seen them, so I don't know what that vibe means, but sure. But it's just like, the premise was essentially that we were like test subjects, kind of, who had our memory wipe, which, so we're basically all amnesiacs, and we're all coming together to do something, ? And we've been stripped of all like our clearance levels. I just searched Paranoia as if that was going to be helpful. Game system. Paranoia role-playing game. Yeah, but it's very like dystopian, it's very sci-fi, that sort of thing. Yeah, we have a friendly computer who basically is like a sentient AI or whatever, and we're meant to go around doing things. Now, the meta sort of level of a game is that it is inherently kind of like a competitive sort of system where it's meant to be like, oh, you're meant to like throw your party members under the bus, or like you do things and they get in trouble, or whatever. You like betray your party members, like there's an imposter or whatever in your mix. Spoiler for how we played is we basically did not do any of that sort of betrayal or impostering thing, for a variety of different reasons actually, because I think it sort of ranged from players who none of us as players were particularly that type of instigator, so it's like that wasn't likely to happen. From my personal perspective, I was like, I don't think I understand the system of the world enough. I was kind of like, I don't really get why I would betray someone for no reason. Like in almost a very sort of like robotic, calculated way. It's sort of like you need a benefit if I betray them, and I was like, I don't understand the system enough that if I betray them, I'm going to get anything from it. And that just, so I'm like, I betray someone, I get a target on my back. What is the point of that? It seems financially not worth it. I'm sure there were things you would get from it, but like I'm not enough of an experimenter, I suppose, to find out. But I will say, I spent most of the campaign just basically really confused at what was going on. Because at first I was like, oh, you know, as we sort of get into it, I was like, oh, basically this is like a fever dream. Anything can happen. Vijay will say things and it will just go completely against what you are. You try something, it will like backfire in your face. It's not quite adversarial system, but it reminds me of like older scale D&D or the stories I hear about it, where things are a little bit more like oh, you try and do something, but oh, maybe you'll like lose a level for it. Like things which would sound crazy, I think, in 5e essentially. So yeah, I was like, oh, it's okay. Like one of the first things that happened when I woke up is like, it all went in turn. We all started in different areas, so we all got to learn from each other. So I had saw a previous like party member basically go up to a computer terminal and ask him where the location was. So I was like, okay, I will do the same thing. So I was like, I'll wake up and I'll walk over and I'll wake up, I'll go to the terminal and ask, how do I get to this place? And apparently this angered the computer, because apparently I didn't do it nice enough, which is sort of giving you the vibe of what this sort of thing was. But I didn't understand that was what was happening. So it gave me wrong directions. And it was like, and it gave me the directions in like Norwegian and like reams and reams on paper. And it was like, and the GM was like, do you speak Norwegian, or was it Finnish? I can't remember. And I was like, yes, I do. So it's sort of like, this is a point where I was like, oh, it's kind of like an improv system. Like I didn't realize that that the computer was adversarial because I didn't like address it properly or something. Like apparently you have to call it friendly computer, which I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know that. In my perspective, I feel like my character may or may not know that. I guess they were an amnesiac or something, but fair enough, I guess. You know, is that my style of play? No, but it's always fun to try something new. Like, if I tried the same thing, which I like doing all the time, then I would never discover anything new, you know? So, yeah, I think that was the point in my mind. I was like, oh, this is kind of like an improv game system? Because I basically knew nothing about the system, and I only kind of vaguely knew the premise. And it was like very much sort of sold in a way that like you don't really know what's going on, you'll discover as it happens. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll sort of like kind of improv or kind of go with what's going on. But as you'll later see, it's not really an improv system, is probably how I describe it. It's kind of more tongue-in-cheek is probably how I'd say it. So there were like times I would like sort of improv, and then it feels like I was getting like shut down. I was like, okay, maybe it's not an improv system, maybe I'm understanding this wrong. And then there's like a flip about halfway through when I'm like, oh, maybe this is like a weird and wacky wonderful, but there's like something underneath this illusion sort of thing going on. So I basically locked into being like, this is like puzzle solving Dear Darling mode. There's a greater mystery effort of which I need to sort of figure out. Turns out, nope, none at all. I basically misread the entire vibe of this system from start to end, thinking it was from like an improv system to thinking it was like thinking it was an improv system to thinking basically it was just complete nonsense and chaos to thinking it was basically like, oh, maybe there's some mystery lying under here. That kind of is, but I think it's better described as it's like a tongue-in-cheek, very sort of campy black humor sci-fi thing where like, yeah, things will backfire and like blow up in your face a lot, and it's like, yeah, that's kind of it. It's kind of like, it basically, how can I say it? It's kind of like the system mocks the players in a way, if that makes sense. Which is very interesting. It's very interesting to play it and also not understand that. I feel like I understand that it's a system where it's like you're not meant to understand this as you go as you start playing it. I think probably me as a player, I would have benefited most from understanding that's how the system is meant to be played. That's on me. I should have at least looked up the system, to be honest, but I was like, I'll go in blind because it kind of looks like I should go in blind. And the past 2 times I went in blind, it worked out in my favor because there's systems which work well with my playstyle. This one was, I was just like, what is happening? So yeah, it was meant to be very competitive. Basically we had no competition. I will say like the plot really doesn't matter, to be honest. It was just all weird. It was kind of like we were meant to go to this place, we were meant to deliver things, and then just weird scenarios happen. I mean, you have to do weird things to sort of try and resolve them. And yeah, we also had mutant powers, which could be hidden and not be hidden. We could also like exchange notes to the GM, which I thought was a really cool system, in secret, and cause paranoia, because you could literally just give empty notes or give like, look at this, read this, nod, and say understood or something, to make it seem like you're plotting something. Which in retrospect, I wish I tapped into that more. But I think, you know, I figured myself, because I think looking back at Dear Darling playing, I was kind of just like, I think a way I describe it was like I was standing on a load of jelly and I was trying to find my balancing before I even tried to, like, I don't know, dance, if that makes sense. When really what you should do is you should just dance, fall over, get covered in jelly and just sort of roll around. which is not something I'm very used to doing. So that's on me. Like, it made me reflect afterwards, being like, you know, maybe that's something I should try a bit more. Like, so if I were to try like a similar system again or something along the similar lines, I think, you know, being able to embrace that chaos would be more part of it. But yeah, I think it was just an unfortunate situation where I was just like, oh, there must be some sort of structure to this, which I kept trying to latch onto, and no, there really wasn't. But there was a lot of like very funny moments, which like apparently I got super lost, and then I was like, I don't know where I am, and then I was told to follow all the doors of cheese, and I was like, okay, sure. And I was like, I'm lactose intolerant, so I guess I can't touch cheese. There's also like this like color like hierarchy system where like red is at the bottom, violet's at the top, and you can't choose something higher up in the rainbow than you are. Which I thought was a huge part of like the mystery. So I was like, interesting. I'm like, why everything colored this way or that way? And I was just like, I don't know. But yeah, we always have clones, so if you die you just kind of like come back. Yeah, it's a really interesting system. It's interesting because my thoughts on it have changed a lot. Like during the system, like the first part I was like, this is a great time, this is silly, this is fun, this is very much not what I'm used to. Then in the second half I was like, what is going on? I still don't like, I can't believe I've been playing this for like 2 hours and I still don't understand what's going on in this game. Am I playing this system wrong? And, you know, I'm not the type to get, like, extremely self-conscious, but I was kind of like, oh, man, I hope I'm not, like, doing this completely wrong for a GM, because I didn't read up, like, anything about this. But then we had a lovely breakdown talk with a GM afterwards, where she was just like, oh, you're, like, the most cooperative group I've ever seen play the system. And then we talked about it, and we were like, oh, yeah, like, we're not really instigators, I guess that kind of makes sense. And then, like, I spoke with my friends afterwards, and we talked about our different reasons for, like, not wanting to do anything. That's when I was like, yeah, I was like wanting to because I knew that it was meant to be competitive, but then I was like, I don't really understand how I'm meant to. The way I described it was like, I think it's weird to betray someone against a system which has no standard, essentially. But now I understand why there is no standard. That's kind of the point. It's kind of like how to describe it? Like, imagine this system is, I was playing it like I was playing We Were Here, when really it's like Lethal Company, where you should be tricking your friends to walking into traps and being like, oh yeah, you should go up to that thing and see what happens. Oh yeah, you need to ring the doorbell a lot of times to get the currency pulled in. That's just how it goes. So yeah, and then afterwards, like immediately afterwards, I was like, I enjoyed playing it. I don't think I liked it, is probably what I would describe. It's probably what I'd say. And then I thought about it a bit more, and I was like, if I ran it, I would probably do it differently. And now I'm like, quite a few days out, I'm like, no, I think I did like it. I think I was unfortunately just in the complete wrong mindset, and I could never find the right gear, basically, to engage with it properly. Because yeah, like I don't mind being an instigator sort of player. I'm not really an instigator, but I think an opportunity arises with a system designed around it. I'm sort of like, well, I'm well in Rome, do as the Romans do, you know? Like, because to me, it's sort of like the same way as this will be relevant, I think, for when I talk about games that we played from the GameCon. I don't mind basically playing the villain, playing the heel, like doing something, painting a target on my back and just seeing what happens. But it's not my default setting. My default setting is let's figure out what's going on. And let's tell a good story. Let's tell like a emotional story with complete story arcs. Which this game basically just sort of like spat me in the face about and was like, no, we're not going to do that. And at the time I was like, whoa. But now I'm like, okay. I don't know, I'm losing the analogy here. Anyway, the long and short of it is like, would I play it again? Yes, I would give it a go, and then I'd try and engage with it on its terms properly next time. And then I think I had a fair decide where I still don't think it's my sort of system. Like, I can't see myself playing this a lot. Like, I think it doesn't really engage with the things I find best, but I think one-shot's perfectly fine. So, like, if one of my friends was like, I want to DM a Paranoia campaign, I'd be like, I don't think that's personally for me, but I hope you have a great time doing so. But if they were like, I want to do a Paranoia one-shot, I'd be like, sign me up. So yeah, that is what is the great thing about going to this Gamescom, is the fact that we get to, I can see all my friends in the D&D channel, so I need to wrap this up. That is what makes it so great doing this thing, is being able to try these new systems, and I'm really glad I got to try it, and I feel so bad for my GM. I'm so sorry that I played it so weirdly. But they were absolutely fantastic. Anyway, On that note, I'm going to round this episode off here. So if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Indy Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope to see each other again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye bye for now.